Hello everyone, I hope all of you are safe and doing well. Today we begin the lecture series on carbohydrates. This is the first lecture. Here we will discuss about the basics of carbohydrates, where we will cover the function and general properties of carbohydrates, their nomenclature and classification, the stereochemistry of carbohydrates, and certain terminologies related to the stereochemistry will also be discussed, and we will also look at different projection formulas of carbohydrates at the end. Now, what are carbohydrates? So, as the name suggests, they are basically hydrates of carbon with a general molecular formula of CxH2O whole Y. Now, X could be equal to Y in certain types of carbohydrates, X may not be equal to Y in certain other types of carbohydrates. In many books, you will find that carbohydrates have been described as aldehydes or ketones with hydroxyl groups, or more precisely, with two or more hydroxyl groups. Now, this definition is accurate for monosaccharides but not for general carbohydrates. This we will understand better in the coming slides. Now, what are the major functions of carbohydrates? So the first thing that should come to your mind when you hear carbohydrate is that we consume it on a daily basis. It is absolutely essential for our survival, and our daily intake of carbohydrate includes different types of carbohydrates like glucose, fructose, lactose, etc. Right? Along with that, carbohydrates also act as component or part of structural framework of the genetic materials in different organisms, including human. So what are the genetic materials? RNA and DNA. In case of RNA, carbohydrate is present as ribose sugar. In case of DNA, it is present as deoxyribose sugar. Carbohydrate is also a component of exoskeletal materials of many arthropods, where the hard shell is made up of carbohydrate and complex carbohydrates which are linked to certain other types of primary metabolites like amino acid or proteins, etc. Carbohydrates also are involved in formation of cell walls of many organisms. Like in bacteria, you have already gone through this. The cell wall of bacteria is made up of peptidoglycan, which is a combination of peptide or protein and a carbohydrate. So when carbohydrates are linked to proteins, they are called glycoproteins and or peptidoglycan, and when they are linked to lipids, they are called glycolipids. These molecules have certain essential functions in the organism. Carbohydrates also play crucial role in cell-cell recognition process. So particularly the complex carbohydrates or oligomeric carbohydrates often uh, constitute the outer coating of many cells, and for intercellular recognition it plays a very important role by recognizing a complementary ligand or a complementary receptor of some other cells, and this is particularly important in case of viral and bacterial infection, as you might be knowing. Okay, so these are the major functions of carbohydrates. Now let's come to the chemistry of carbohydrates. The general molecular formula of carbohydrate is CxH2O whole Y. General formula for simpler carbohydrates that are found in nature can be represented as CH2O whole N. So basically here X is equal to Y, which is denoted as the letter N instead of X or Y. Okay. A common example is glucose, which has the molecular formula of C6H12O6, that is N is equal to 6 here. Now there are certain exceptions to it. First, let's look at the example of formaldehyde, which has a molecular formula of HCHO, or you can represent it as CH2O. So here it seems that N is equal to 1 and it is matching with the general formula of simpler carbohydrates, but formaldehyde is not a carbohydrate. Then there is the example of 2-deoxyribose, which has the molecular formula of C5H10O4, so it is not matching with the general formula of carbohydrate, neither with CH2O whole N nor with CxH2O whole Y, but 2-deoxyribose is a carbohydrate. So you should always keep in mind that when categorizing a particular compound to a particular class of compounds, you should always look at the molecular formula, the structural formula, and the properties of that compound. Now let's come to the nomenclature and classification of carbohydrates. So the simple carbohydrates names end with O's like glucose, fructose, cellulose. Now for carbohydrates which have aldehyde group as a functional group are called aldose, and for carbohydrates that have ketone group as a functional group are called ketose. And the number of carbon atoms that are present in a carbohydrate molecule is indicated in the prefix. So these are called general nomenclature. If we look at the an example, it will be more clear. So let's look at let's look at the simplest or smallest carbohydrate that we know of. The smallest is glyceraldehyde, which has 3 carbon atoms and aldehyde group as as a functional group. So glyceraldehyde is an aldotriose, and you can see from the structural formula that the second carbon atom, the C2, is actually an asymmetric carbon atom or a chiral center because it has 4 different groups or substituents attached to it. So glyceraldehyde has 2 isomers. Now when OH group is placed at the right hand side, we call it D-glyceraldehyde, and when OH group is placed at the left hand side, we call it L-glyceraldehyde. Here I want you to remember one important thing, that you should never be confusing this D and L with plus and minus. D and L are arbitrary standards. We just look at the placement of OH group and we call it D or L, and glyceraldehyde is also taken as a standard for other carbohydrates with higher number of carbon atoms. And this plus and minus are indicative of the sign of optical rotation. You know, right, that an optically active molecule can rotate the plane of polarized light. So an optically active compound or isomer of an optically active compound, if it rotates the plane of polarized light to the right hand side or to clockwise, it is called dextrorotatory and given a plus sign. And if the isomer rotates the plane of polarized light anti-clockwise or in the left hand side, it is called levorotatory and given the minus sign. These are also sometimes denoted as small d and small l. To avoid confusion, we usually represent it as plus and minus in case of the carbohydrate chemistry. And in case you don't remember the plus and minus sign for the next higher carbohydrates, you can omit it, but you should remember it for the most important carbohydrates that we will be dealing with in this section, like glucose, fructose, and at least glyceraldehyde you also can remember, right? Now let's look at the ketone, where the ketone is the functional group of the carbohydrate. So in case of the smallest carbohydrate with a ketone group, it will be a ketotriose, that is a dihydroxyacetone molecule, but this molecule does not have any optical activity, that is it does not have any asymmetric carbon atom. So that is why it is usually not considered as a carbohydrate. So the smallest ketose that we know of will be a ketotetrose and not a ketotriose. Okay. Now let's come to the classification of carbohydrates. So carbohydrates can be generally classified in 2 broad categories. One is sugar and the other one is polysaccharide. Sugars are crystalline in nature, they are water soluble because they have hydroxyl groups, and they are sweet in taste. You already know that. Sugars can be also classified in 2 other categories. One is monosaccharide and the other one is oligosaccharides. So in case of monosaccharide, this is the simplest form of sugars or simplest form of carbohydrates, and we mostly deal with monosaccharides in terms of the reactions of carbohydrates. So they are the simplest form. They cannot be hydrolyzed into smaller molecules because they are the smallest, simplest form. They are the repeating unit for the higher uh, saccharides, you may say, and they have the general formula of CnH2nOn, where N is equal to 2 to 10, right? And the most common monosaccharides that we know of or we study about are pentoses and hexoses. They are more biologically relevant. Examples are glucose and fructose. One is an aldose, one is a ketose, right? And they have, both glucose and fructose have a molecular formula of C6H12O6. So where N is equal to 6, right? Glyceraldehyde is also one monosaccharide. Now what are oligosaccharides? So oligosaccharides yield 2 to 10 monosaccharide molecules on hydrolysis. That means they are made up of 2 to 10 monosaccharide units. So you can say that disaccharides, trisaccharides, tetrasaccharides, they are all oligosaccharides. Up to 10 monosaccharide units containing carbohydrates will be considered as oligosaccharides. Example is sucrose, lactose, they both are disaccharide. So you can look up what are the examples of trisaccharide, tetrasaccharide, etc. We'll be talking about these in the next class. Now what are polysaccharides? They are basically the most complex form of carbohydrates. They have high molecular weight, generally a very complex structure. They are insoluble or sparingly soluble in water because of the high molecular weight and the highly branched structure. And they are usually non-crystalline in nature and they do not have a sweet taste like the common sugars. They yield a large number of monosaccharides on hydrolysis. So here in case of oligosaccharides, they yield 2 to 10 monosaccharides. That means they are made up of 2 to 10 monosaccharide molecules. But polysaccharides are made up of a huge number of monosaccharide units. And they have the general formula of C6H10O5N. So the most common polysaccharides have the basic repeating unit of C6H10O5. It may be something else, but the basic repeating unit that is most common is this. And if you look at the formula, this is C6H10O5, that means CXH2O whole Y whole N, if you compare with the general formula of carbohydrate. Example of polysaccharides are starch, cellulose. So you can look up how many number of monosaccharide units are present in starch and what is the number of monosaccharide units present in cellulose. So these are common examples. There are many other examples you can look up in the book. Now let's come to the stereochemistry of carbohydrates. So you have already seen the example of glyceraldehyde and you probably remember how it was represented. So it was written as CHO group at the top, then CHOH group, and at the bottom it was having the CH2OH group, right? So by convention, all sugars, or to be precise, all the monosaccharides are written with the most oxidized carbon at the top. So what is the most oxidized carbon atom in the whole molecule? It will be the aldehyde group or the CHO group for an aldose and CO group or the ketonic group for a ketose. But ketone group cannot be placed at the end of a molecule, so it has to have some other group at the top. So it is usually the CH2OH group. So for aldose, the compound structure will start with CHO. For a ketose, the compound structure will start with CH2OH CO. Usually this is the case. Now the chiral center at the bottom, that is the chiral center that is farthest from the most oxidized carbon atom, determines if the sugar is D or L. So in case of glyceraldehyde, you have seen that it has had only one chiral center. So we just looked at the position of the OH group on that particular chiral center to designate it as D or L. In case of higher carbohydrates, you have to consider the bottommost chiral center. And in case of an open chain formula, so when we are talking about this stereochemistry, we are actually talking about the open chain formula of carbohydrates or open chain formula of monosaccharides to be precise. So in case of an open chain formula, if OH points to the left, it is L configuration, and if OH points to the right, it is a T configuration. So let's look at the example of glucose. So glucose has the molecular formula of C6H12O6, and the structural formula of glucose is written in this way, where the CHO group is at the top because it is the most oxidized carbon atom and glucose is an aldose. There are other 4 CHOH group, and the bottommost carbon is the primary alcoholic group or CH2OH. Now for assigning it whether it is D or L, we have to look at C5, that is the chiral center at the bottom or the chiral center that is farthest from the most oxidized carbon atom. C6 is not a chiral center. Why? Because it has OH, CHOH, but 2 hydrogen groups linked to it. So it is not an asymmetric center. So in this particular structure, the OH group at the bottom chiral center is placed at the right hand side. So it is a D configuration, and this molecule can be denoted as D plus glucose. In case you don't remember the plus or minus sign, you don't write it, just write D glucose. It's better than writing the wrong formula. Now, all the biological or naturally occurring sugars are usually D isomers. Now, in case of amino acids, you have already learned that the biologically available natural amino acids, or particularly the proteinogenic amino acids, had L configuration, and it depended on the position of the NH2 group. In case of carbohydrate, we are looking at the position of the OH group, and all the biologically available natural sugars are having the D configuration.